Hey guys, I just wanted to run through a quick routine that shouldn't take you very long but could add so much to what you're already doing and help the times that we're together be a little less intense and be a little more helpful overall. So we'll just start in child's pose like I mentioned. So you can come onto the knees. You can have the knees a little bit wider if that feels right or feels good to you. Have the big toes close together. Bring the hands to the mat or the floor. Bring the hands out in front of you a little bit. Take an inhale. And as you begin to exhale by the nose, press the hips back towards the heels. So you bring the hips back as far as you can. If the hips aren't making it all the way to the heels, that's fine. And also the tops of the ankles are going to get a little bit of a stretch here as well. If this is uncomfortable on the knees or on the ankles, take a rolled up hand towel and place it between the knees or underneath the ankles, and that will help relieve that and give you a little bit of support so that you can hold child's pose a little bit longer. So just simply come onto the hands and knees. Knees are apart, big toes together. Take an inhale. Exhale, press your hips back towards the heels. Stretch the arms out. Nice long spine. Excuse me, Tubberman. Nice long spine. And bring the forehead to the floor, the mat. And if your forehead doesn't come down all the way, you can bring the hands, stack the hands, and bring the forehead here, just to rest. And so you just breathe here. Maybe rock the head side to side, massaging the forehead. You can begin to start bringing it down for bedtime, relaxing the breath, letting go of the day. And if it's difficult, which the mind will start to talk and be distracting, of course, that's what the mind does. You might bring your mind to the breath again and say to yourself, breathe in, I'm breathing in. Breathe out. I'm breathing out. You can just hold this as long as you'd like, anywhere from a minute to 5 minutes. If you'd like, you can always bring the arms down by your sides. Relax the shoulders towards the mat. And just let the hips open more and more as long as you breathe and exhale and hold this. The hips will open. Stretching the tops of the ankles, the low back, and just bringing you into a state of relaxation. Once you've done your child's pose, you can bring the hands under your shoulders, slowly press yourself up, come back onto the hands and knees. I'm kind of off my mat here, but I want you to be able to see this. And I'll switch it here. Okay, so you've come out of child's pose onto the hands and knees, tuck the toes under, take an inhale. Hands are shoulder width apart, and again, plant the hands into the mat. All 10 fingers pressed, even pressing a little more maybe with the index finger and the thumb in that space there. Pressing into the mat, hands shoulder width apart, knees and feet hip distance apart. Take an inhale. Exhale. Press the hips back and up. Keep a bend in the knees like I've always I've mentioned to you guys today. The hamstrings can be super tight, of course. That's why we do yoga. And if they are, and you're attempting to straighten the legs too soon, it can cause rounding in the spine and your upper body weight to be too far forward. So we want to continuously press the chest towards the thighs. Keep a nice little bend in the knee. Keep pressing the hips up to the sky. Nice long spine. Almost like an upside down letter V, but a little kink in one side where your knees are bent. And then you can start to test it out. Press one heel down, then the other. Keeping the hands to keep the wrist safe and strong. And press the heels down one at a time, getting into the calves. And then eventually, if it feels good, you could come up on the toes, inhale, Exhale, press the heels down. Inhale, come up onto the toes. Exhale, press the heels down. Good. So once you've done that, we'll come into pigeon. Bring the right knee towards the right wrist. Stretch the left leg out straight behind you. The right foot can stay in towards the groin to protect the knee. So if there's any white hot pain in the knee, be very, very careful not to do it in this position. I can give you a modification. So I moved my... So once you come out of down dog, moving into pigeon, the right knee towards the right wrist, you can have a little cushion if you'd like, something that gives. It's a little pliable. Let that right hip sink down onto that cushion, and then readjust the right foot so that you're getting a nice, big, deep stretch in that right hip, glute, low back. Left leg out straight behind you, top of the foot resting on the floor. And you can stay here in an upright position to begin with, and just find a spot to focus. Soften the gaze. It takes a little bit of time to give up the fight. It's natural to tense up in these poses when we first begin, just because it is uncomfortable. As long as there is no pain, sharp, like a knife pain, we don't want that. If it's a kind of a hurt so good kind of uncomfortable, that is what we want. We want to make sure you're feeling the pose, to let the pose move deep into the joint, moving into the fascia, into the muscles, the connective tissue, deep into the joints. So you're always going to be at your edge, so not too much, not too little. If it's too easy with your foot in close to the groin, you can begin to pull that right foot out so that it's more of a, say your knee is maybe at a 1, between noon and 1 o'clock. The foot can be anywhere from 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9 o'clock, depending on where the knee is and where you are, how open the hips are. This is pretty intense. It's difficult to talk without sounding kind of goofy. Okay, so if it's too easy here, you can go ahead, take an inhale, lift the chest, long spine, bring the upper body down to the floor. You can stack the hands, relax the shoulders, the neck, and just rest your forehead on the hands. And so you can keep a little cushion underneath that right hip. Let the right hip come down to the mat if the knee is okay with that. If there's any sharp pain, again, I'm going to show you a way to modify this. Otherwise, just test it out. It may even feel nice to move the cushion and just come up on the elbows and kind of sway side to side. Getting in as deep as you can. And then once you find your edge, I want you to become very still, relaxing the hands, relax the jaw, the neck, the shoulders. And surrender to the pose. Allow the pose to move deep into the hip. You're going to get a little bit of a stretch in the hip flexors on the straight leg behind you. And a deep glute and outer hip stretch, low back in the right hip. So again, it takes some time, a little bit of time to allow the body to stop resisting, because it is uncomfortable. But once you can find that place where you can completely let go, keep the hands relaxed, the jaw relaxed. It's very, very important. The jaw stays relaxed. Maybe hold this anywhere from a minute, 5
or even longer, but if it's before bed, maybe about 5 minutes. Just long enough to be able to completely let go and relax into it as best as possible, finding a way, making a way with your breath, building mental toughness. And then when you're done, you can set a timer on your phone or a little clock, kitchen timer, and then press your hands, bring the hands under your shoulders and press yourself up. And then to come out of pigeon, just rock onto that right hip, bring the left leg around in front of you, oy vey, and then just stretch it out, work it out. Okay, so I'm going to show you a variation or modification for pigeon pose that you can do on your back instead of having to be on your belly. So you'll just come to the floor, and I'm going to do it from this direction so you can see the legs from this angle. So you'll come down onto your back. I'm just totally off the mat. Knees are bent. Let's see if you can see what's happening here. Okay, the knees are bent. So you'll just take the right leg, simply bring it up and cross it over the left knee. The foot is flexed, so the foot on top is flexed. Pull the toes back. It's almost like a figure four. The left foot can stay resting on the floor, the mat. This can be your pigeon, recline pigeon. If you'd like to, you can take an inhale, place your right hand on the inside of the right thigh, keep the hips grounded on the floor. Take an inhale and exhale, press out gently, not on the knee, but above the knee on the inner thigh, getting a little bit deeper into that outer right hip joint. If you need to go a little bit deeper to find your edge, you can simply lift your left foot up, pull the knee in towards the chest, and thread your arms between or on either side of the left thigh and interlace the fingers underneath the left leg. The left foot is flexed as well, and the knee is bent, so it's basically a 90-degree angle as well. Use the right elbow to gently press on the inside of the right thigh and take an inhale. And on the exhale, gently press out, getting a little bit deeper in that right hip and the glute. Might even get a little pop in the low back. Those are really, really good. So you'll just hold this for a minute or so. You may have to take a break and relax the arm. Just keep pulling that left knee in closer to the upper body to get deeper and deeper and deeper into that outer right hip. And then when you're done, just simply place the left foot back on the floor, uncross the leg, work it out, and do the other side. Okay guys, that's it. Just a little child's pose to start to relax and connect the breath with the body and to begin to relax the mind. And then move into your downward facing dog to stretch the calves, the hamstrings, pressing one heel down then the other, coming up on the toes and pressing into the heels, really working into the feet and the ankles. So good. And then pigeon pose, whether on your belly or on your back. And then maybe another down dog, and make sure to do both sides for pigeon, and then another down dog, and possibly laying on a pillow in bed or on the floor before bed, just opening the chest, something between the shoulder blades to really undo that forward motion and help with breathing. Anyway, thanks again for all your hard work, and I'm thinking of you. I'll be with you in spirit, and get a good night's rest.